again, thanks for being here. I won't introduce Jen because I think everybody knows her. She's doing a lot in the community. She founded the Erin Seed Lending Library. She's volunteering to maintain some of the gardens at the public school. And she does a lot more, and she's a school board trustee, and so you're in very good hands with Jen today. So enjoy, and if you have any issues, don't hesitate to turn on the light, which will be a bit claustrophobic maybe, but anyway, enjoy.
So how many came to Mark's talk? Anyone? Yes? Good, good. So this is number 2. The first one was gardening. This one is seed planting. Abel's going to do the next one. It's going to be climate change, reducing food waste, stuff like that. And then we'll start cooking. Because then my rhubarb's already coming up. So
Yes.
We want to start cooking as soon as the stuff is growing. That's what Seed the Plate is doing your own food right from the beginning and then actually eating it. Because I'm very guilty of, there's all kinds of stuff in the garden and then I buy frozen pizza. So we want to carry you right through into health, food insecurity, and like everyone, just to have better food if it's your own. So my thing is seeds. I started Seed Library. I heard about it from someone else, and it started my own seed library. And gardeners are lifelong learners. You're just always learning more stuff. So seed planting and seed saving. Some of this may be dead obvious, and some of it may be over your heads. Who knows? Abel, how do I just touch that space?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a little blurry still. So why use seeds? You can experiment with a wider variety of what is available at the garden center. But as soon as the garden center is open, no one wants my seeds anymore. They're like, oh, look at that, it's already up. Why bother with the seeds? But there's there's so many tomatoes back there you can choose from. French potato, like purple potatoes. Like you can't get those in the grocery store. When you grow stuff yourself, you can find all these different varieties. And biodiversity, there's all these heirloom varieties that if no one's growing them, then they just vanish. So seed libraries help keep some of those heirloom ones alive. Controlling your own food. You know what you've put on it, whether you put pesticides on it or not. You know what's happening with it, so you can trust it. And to be local, because seeds grown here, those packages you might get, you don't know where they've grown them, and you don't know if they've grown them in China or somewhere else. And if it says local on it or from Erin, someone else's garden, you know that it will grow well here. And to save money, seeds are so much cheaper, and Seed Library is free. Free. That's a nice word. And it's a great experience, especially for kids to get them involved. Trying to get more gardens in the schools. Indoors or outdoors. So I put it's all briefly in your notes, very briefly. I was trying to condense it. So starting seeds indoors, not all of them need to be indoors. I see the gardens there, they got peas planted in those little things. You don't need to do that. Peas go straight in the ground. You don't have to buy them at the nursery. Beets, carrots, a lot of things go straight in the ground. You don't need to start them indoors. The longer life, they need a longer season. Tomatoes, peppers, eggplants. Those are the 3 main ones that you can start early. And those are at the back. You got peppers, eggplants, tomatoes, and then peppers. Sorry, the fun. So if you start everything early, like I've got squash, and you plant them so early, and you got these great big vines, and you put them out, and they snap because they don't have enough wind on them from being indoors, and they're just too long and too leggy, and they get this pots are too small, and you have to repot them. So you don't have to start everything ahead, just something. But some things can't go out until there's no frost. Other things can start right now. When to start? Generally, if you're starting indoors, it's 6 to 8 weeks before the last frost date, which is now. It's today. You're going to start your seeds today. I already said some of this stuff I wasn't reading. So they can get too leggy. I wonder what I missed on this. Okay, Farmer's Almanac. That is my favorite website. And they emailed me today, and they said 9 plants that you can plant in April. And then they said, I get emails like every week. And they said, what foods will you save more money on? Because things like potatoes, you can work all summer and take up a huge patch, and it's a lot of work, and then in the fall, they have like a giant bag for $5. So it's like, is it worth it? But if you have purple potatoes, then it's worth it. So it all depends on what you want. If you really like potatoes, then there's nothing better than straight out of the ground. But they have like, there was an email just about, you know, weighing the cost. What are you going to save more growing yourself? Tomatoes, peppers are good ones. But yeah, you can sign up. You give them your postal code, and they'll email you and tell you what to plant. It's really, they are amazing. It's American, but it goes up to Canada too. So I added this slide in last night because it's not all Canada, it's just Ontario. We are 5B, which is one of these ones. It used to be 5A, but with climate change, we're now 5B. So the Arctic is 0 or 1, and Florida is 9. So you got to try to think cold at the top and warm at the horizon, at the equator. So we're in the middle. So if you're reading a seed tag and it says, you know, it's the end of the season, oh, it's perennial, it's going to come back next year. And if you look at it and it says, zone 6, zone 7, that's not us. It won't come back. So that's what will survive is 5A. And if it says it's good till zone 3, we're good, because that's colder than us. It can survive colder than us. So we are 5 or 5B. So that's just something to know. Even on seed packages, it'll say it's good for zone 7 or good for zone 7 to 9. That's not us. But it can be an annual. You can grow in the summer and then either bring it in or containers. So starting your own seeds, you can use anything. Abel's got some newspaper ones at the back. You just put it on a can and make your own newspaper ones. You can use egg cartons. Those do kind of break down, maybe too soon. I tend to use the plastic because it lasts longer. You can use any container, or it has to drain, because otherwise it gets too much water. Soil, you cannot use dirt from your garden. You have to use some kind of potting soil, because it's lighter, and the roots can get down through it. A lot of times they have perlite in it, or little bits of styrofoam, and it's just to make it light and fluffy, so that those fine little roots can get through. I don't know why this comes up with 4 pictures. In my house, it's 1 picture. At this slideshow, it's 4 pictures. So this is just the one I usually use. There's nothing special about it. Any potting soil is good. It doesn't usually have a lot of nutrition in them because the seeds have their own nutrition. So if you use this during the summer, it may not really give them a lot of nourishment. Okay. So sometimes soaking seeds overnight really helps because they need to get the water inside them. Some seeds have a protective coating on them that comes off if you soak them. And sort of rule of thumb is like 3 times their thickness, so like not too deep, basically. If the tiny seeds, some of them need to be right on the surface, like hollyhocks, you gotta leave them right on the surface because they need the light. If they're too deep, some seeds just won't come up. Light. So as you get, first you start on the windowsill, right? Oh, I'll just put a little thing on the windowsill. And then next you're like, oh, I'm gonna buy some lights. You know, and then you get more and more into this as you get all excited about it. So, grow lights if you have them, 12 hours a day. They do need a rest at night, so, 24 hours is not, they don't need that. Start with lights just above the seeds, and then you raise them up. So otherwise they get really light as they're trying to reach for light. Full spectrum LEDs, there's different lights you can get, but full spectrum is like daylight. It's a bit better than just regular neon. You can use the neon as well. That's all I have. Heat. Then you get into the next level. We're like, oh, now I need a heat pad. They're like $20, I think. I got one for Christmas. Because it just helps to warm them up. I was at my friend's house. She said, oh, come see my seeds. And they weren't coming up. As they went into her basement, it got colder and colder and colder. And I'm like, I know why your seeds aren't coming up. It's too cold down here. So these heating pads, because seeds are smart. They're not going to come up in the cold. If they're a warm season plant, like a tomato or a pepper, they're not coming up when it's cold. So they know what they're doing. So they feel some heat, then they will open up. Peppers, you can get in like 3 days. If you sandpaper a pepper and then put the heat, 3 days as opposed to 2 weeks. Cold stratification and scoring. Does anyone grow native plants? Yeah. I don't know. They should be easy if they they grow here. But for some reason, we have to do this whole cold stratification thing. We put the seeds in the freezer, take them out, put them wet, and it's just because they need to go through a winter to know that it's spring. So a lot of native seeds are like that. What I try to do, because I cannot as a seed librarian put them all in wet paper towels in the fridge and take them back out, I collect the seeds in the spring if they're still there, and then that way they have gone through winter. So technically they should be okay. So that's what I try to do. But you can always you can do that, or you can plant them and maybe they'll come up next year. Try and label them. But certain plants need that cold application. So you can mimic it with the freezer. Others generally easier if you use a little sandpaper, pumpkins, anything with a really hard shell. Use a little sandpaper, and yeah, I'll do it with peppers too, because you have to your nails, but you get sandpaper a little bit so the water gets in. And what else? Oh, some of them need peppers. Like lily seeds, if you want to grow your own canna from seeds, canna lily. Yeah, canna. They have really hard shells, these peppers, and just pick a little bit out of it, and then the water can get in. And they'll germinate. Water. All right, so water into the tray. If you're watering on top, you're going to disperse this, like the seeds are going to get all messed up, so I was going to turn this on. And just, it can get too pressed down, so you want it to draw the water up. And you can mist the top. You can put plastic on, but not too long. You can get damping off, or you get some mold on the surface, and then everything dies. So I'll be very cautious with putting a cover on it. You can. You don't have to. Hardly not. So you get all these nice little sprouts. You're so happy. You put them outside. You leave them out there, and they all die. You can't do that. So you bring them out, and you take them in, and you bring them out, and you take them in, and then they get used to it, and then they'll be okay. And then put them out on an overcast day or in the morning, or like when you put them in and out, you put them in the shade. So they don't get too. Can I put the fan on here? No, put it on. When they're in your house, if you can put a fan in the room, that really helps because it gets some air movement, and they're going to be stronger. And kind of like people, I get a little bit of, difficulty in your life, you get a little bit stronger. And the same thing for the seeds. You put a fan on them, and they're going to be stronger. So, that's just smart. Okay, I think I said all that. Okay. Seed saving. Okay. Seed saving is easy. It just takes time. And then you don't have to buy seeds. And you can share them. Those are pumpkin seeds, giant pumpkin seeds. Okay, so now I have a whole bunch of definitions, stuff you're going to see on a seed package. And they're all in your thing. So, annual. Annual grows from a seed, produces seeds, and dies all in 1 year. And they know that. They know that. So they produce tons of seeds because they know they've only got 1 year. So sunflowers, beans, peas, tomatoes, peppers, tons of seeds. Like one little tomato has 50 seeds in it because they know they've only got 1 year. They want to reproduce themselves. So that's an annual. Biennial is 2 years. These ones are not as well known. So they only live for 2 years. They'll produce flowers and seeds in the second year only, and then they die. Carrots, beets, and hollyhocks are examples. So if you want to grow beet seeds, which is not that easy, you pick some beets, put them in your fridge, your cold cellar, keep them in there, plant them next year so that insects or whatever don't eat them in the winter. Second year it grows, and you can get seeds off it. Carrots, if you do that, there's Queen Anne's lace everywhere. It'll cross, and you'll get weeds. So don't try carrots, buy carrot seeds. Carrots are very different. When they grow them for the stores, they grow them in greenhouses so that they can't be infiltrated by other species that are similar. The Queen Anne's lace is the same thing, and it's everywhere. Hollyhocks is another one. You might get a flower the first year. Usually it's the second year. Lots of flowers, lots of seeds, and then they're done. So if you want hollyhocks, you got to plant them every year so that it's flowering every second year. You just got to keep it going. And they need to be on the surface. Just shake them out on the ground, and you're golden. Perennial. Okay, we know this one. They live for many years, bear fruit and seeds many times, although often not the first year. It takes them a little while to get going. They don't care as much about seeds. They'll make seeds, but they don't care as much as the annuals do. Asparagus, rhubarb, oregano, raspberries, many, many flowers are perennial. Okay, flower types. So this flower is complete. It has the male parts, the anthers, and the female part, which is the ovary. So it has both parts in the same flower. This is a tulip, and because the male parts are lower, that means it wants to cross-pollinate. So that's why people cut the tulip flowers off, because they don't want seeds. They just want a bigger bulb, and they don't want them to cross-pollinate different colored tulips, usually. Okay, so that's a complete flower. Incomplete. This is squash. So a squash will grow male flowers all the way along with nothing, and then finally a female flower at the end. And there's your female. So you won't produce anything on these males, but the pollen needs to come to this one. You can do it yourself. You get a little cotton, or you can just take it off and then use the flower and go into the female flowers with it. So this is a little miniature of what is going to grow. I don't know which one it is. Probably zucchini.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I covered all that. So that's incomplete. So they're separate. Okay, this flower is open. It allows the insects and pollinators to come in, and it can easily transfer to another flower. It can be complete or incomplete, but this is open. This is the descriptor. Things can have many of these tags on them. So flowers will cross-pollinate because it's open and different things can get in there. This one is closed. These are pea flowers, and it's quite closed inside. So the insects can't really get in there. They're always complete. They have to be complete because they're not letting any pollinators in there. And they will self-pollinate. But it is also possible to open them up and cross-pollinate. But if you just shake the plant, or shake it, say with tomatoes, you shake the plant, it'll pollinate itself. And it's more likely that these seeds will come true because they're not crossing with another type. So, beginner seed savers, peas, beans, tomatoes. Self-pollination, usually a closed flower. Pollen is transferred inside the flower, so that means the anthers are going to be above the stamen, the male parts are on top. So when you shake it, pollen falls down, get babies. Flowers must be complete. Flowers are often closed, but self-pollination also happens in open flowers. Tomatoes, peas, beans. But those are more likely to be true. Cross-pollination. Pollen is transferred from a similar plant. It can be done by insect or by hand. So it could be true or it could cross and be give something else. Wind pollination. So these are the big crops. I think wheat as well. Corn, beets, spinach are also in there. Plants produce lots of light pollen to be carried on the wind to nearby plants. So these are, we were worried with the bees and got, whatever that word is, these bad pesticides. These are the people that don't care because they don't need the bees. So they're the ones that are using the pesticides that everyone else doesn't want. And that's why it's still out there, because these people don't care. Well, they don't need them. They don't need the bees. So they just need the wind. Very small flowers. They don't even look like flowers. Like pollen, trees are the same. Flowers are small and colorless because they don't need to attract the insects. But you got to have a lot of it. If you grow corn in your backyard, you've only got 3 stalks. You can do it yourself, but it's harder to get full cobs because it won't all pollinate. Clonal propagation. This is when a plant is divided and each piece grows into a new plant. Each plant is a clone. There's no genetic mixing. Garlic, rhubarb, potato. You can get seeds, but it's much easier. Cut off the scape and just do the bulbs. Rhubarb, potatoes, and all those perennial flowers that you just divide, you're making more plants that way. It's the same thing. There's no genetic mixing. Hybrids. Okay, this is cross-pollination from plants that are the same species but a different variety. So you can have red sunflowers and yellow sunflowers, and then you can get a red and yellow sunflower. It can happen naturally or by hand pollination. White flowers in your red ones, you may get pink ones, you might get red, you might get white. Seeds from a hybrid may not be true. If it says hybrid on the package, it says F1 on the package, I think you're not allowed to say the seeds from an F1. And you don't know what you're going to get from a hybrid seed. Sometimes they're sterile, sometimes they don't exist. Seedless watermelons have no seeds, that's a hybrid. So you don't want to say seeds from a hybrid, basically. If it's a flower, you're still going to get a zinnia or whatever it is. You just may not get the burgundy zinnia. But if you're buying seeds specifically to keep the seeds, just don't buy hybrid. But they have some really cool hybrids out there. If you're buying them just to eat them, go for it. Like broccoli, there's all these different hybrids of broccoli. But you just can't keep the seeds. Heirloom or heritage varieties have been grown by open pollination for many years. They have not been bred for transportation usually, or disease resistant, and often have great flavor that hybrids have lost. So when we're producing them for the stores, they have to have certain traits, and taste is not always personalized. They will grow true from seed, unless you've got them too close together. You always have to worry about your distances, but they're not hybrids, so they should be true every year, and then if they're a closed flower, you're even more sure that they're going to be true. Open pollination. You see it on the package, it'll say open pollinated. So that means it's not a hybrid, and it's not GMO. It means plants that pollinate themselves naturally out in the open. It can be by insect or wind or self-pollination. So it means they haven't been done by hand. Commercial hybrids are precisely controlled, so it means they're not hybrids. They're not hand pollinated. This is bee balm. It's not going to cross with anything else, but if I had purple bee balm and this one, you could get different seeds, but I can't even get seeds out of bee balm. They're too small. GMO, genetically modified organisms. These are genes from different species that are put together. GMO research costs millions of dollars, and they copyright the seeds. You're not allowed to save them. They are not interested in morning glory seeds. This is not, you don't really have to worry about it. You're looking at flower seeds, you're looking at, just regular vegetables. You don't have to worry that, see, this is non-GMO. You don't really have to worry about that, because these are the cash crops. This is corn, this is soy, this is canola, sugar beet. It's the big money ones. They don't care about all the little ones that everyone has. Eating GMO foods. A lot of it is also going to silage to the animals and then leave the animals. So that's your own decision, but they don't label it in Canada. They're using processed foods as silage, but anything organic will definitely not be GMO. And if they say non-GMO, then they're not GMO. Organic seeds. Organic seeds are from plants that were grown without synthetic fertilizers or herbicides or pesticides. They are more expensive, but they come from strong plants that are grown the way that you would probably like yours to be grown. They're also non-GMO. They are more expensive, but if you can afford it, it's good. It's always good to support organic if you can. 4 seeds. So because I'm a seed librarian, I've got a whole different view of everything in my garden. If you're just growing something and you're going to eat it, then that's awesome. That's good. You don't have to grow for seeds. But when you are, then you're looking sort of at, you don't want to have things too close together that might cross. Grow plants far enough apart so they will not cross-pollinate with other types. But if you've got peas beside your broccoli, that's totally fine. They're not going to cross. Farmer's Almanac has charts of how far apart for the different ones. This pea here, you might eat that right now because that you can eat the whole pod and just eat it like that. But if you take those seeds, they're not going to be any good. You have to wait right to the end of the season for the seeds. They have to be on mature fruit. Seed saving. Find mature seeds. Pick on a warm afternoon. Wash or ferment the seeds clean if needed. Dry the seeds. Store the seeds. Label them. Then you're good. It's easy. Look, all on one slide. It's easy. You can do it. So yeah, if you're picking them in the morning, they're going to have some dew on them. And you can, spread them out to dry, but it's so much easier easier if you just pick it in the afternoon. So some of them are dry. Someone was asking about dill today. Dill is pretty easy. It's dry as long as you're picking in the afternoon. Just, you can set it out for a little bit. I usually put them in a container and just leave it open for a while just to make sure they're dry. I got some more slides on this. If they're not dry, we have more slides. Label everything. Label the year, label the name, label the color. Oh, I forgot to bring any tools to show you. All right, so sieves and strainers for when you're washing them. Clippers, you're in the park, it's fall, they're gonna cut all these stalks down and compost them. Right on, you got your clippers. But if you just pull the seed head off, you'll hear all the seeds from all the other ones falling all over the ground. And it's good to leave some. Get your clippers, it's like big. You watch all summer, oh, those ones are beautiful, all of those orange cool flowers are great. And you know, they're just gonna cut them down and compost them. So when the flowers are dead and the seed heads are still there and no one's cut them down yet, it's okay. So yes, clippers, you need clippers. Envelope. So this is glass seed. It's like wax paper. I don't know where you find those. Paper envelopes are good. You'll see mine there in plastic, which you're not supposed to do. And it's basically because if they're not dry, then they'll go moldy. And I have, people have given me seeds in plastic, and I've forgotten about them, and they've gone moldy, and even some of my own. But the plastic is reusable. They seal, you open it again, you can reuse the bag. When I get the paper ones, once you've opened it, I can, as a seed librarian, have all these paper envelopes that don't seal. So I put them in plastic. But as long as they're dry, it works. And I don't have room to have glass bottles for all of my seeds. So I do what works, and it's working for me, and I can reuse them. I just take out the tag and, okay, where are the seeds? This is calendula. There's the flower. There's the flower that's just finished, and then it dries, and there's your seeds. Once you start looking for seeds, you will see them everywhere.
Sorry, Jen, can you say again where the seeds, the dry is the seeds?
This one is a seed, yep.
Okay,
You can pick these, but that's not ready yet.
great.
Pick those ones.
Okay,
Yeah, that's calendula. And here you can see the flower, that's the petals that are just drying up.
yep.
Most flowers, the seeds are right under the flower head. So when you deadhead a flower, the plant was, because that plant was desperately trying to make seeds. That's the reason why deadheading works, because you, the gardener, want lots of flowers. And so you deadhead, and the plant goes, it's almost there, and it makes more flowers. Because it's trying to make seeds so badly. You gotta just think of what the flower is thinking about. It wants to make more seeds. And so when you deadhead, that's why it makes more flowers. But if you wait and let it, it won't really make more flowers. So you have to, and I was always waiting to get them at this stage, and then sometimes I don't get as many as if I did deadhead, and then they would just keep producing and keep producing. So, where was I? Oh, yeah, so as soon as you see a strawberry now, you're like, there's the seeds right on the outside, you can see them. Okay, blanket flowers. This is from the eye doctor, Dr. Walcott. He lets me come every fall and pick his seeds. So it's very pretty, it's perennial, it's a native. And there's the plant, little puffballs. There's the seeds. You break them apart, and you have like 100 seeds on one little puffball. And that one's also native to this area. So my tags, blue is native, pink is flower, and green is vegetable. Oh, that's upside down. That is upside down. Anyway, nasturtium. They're always, seeds are in little pods of 3, and they're just underneath. Once the flower is gone, you'll find 3 little seeds and dry them. I don't know how that is upside down. Do not mess with that. Okay, Cleome. This is one, I think it likes cold fermentation, I think. But it has a little pod. After, like each flower, once it's done, has a little pod on it. The seeds in the pods. I got that one from Orangeville. My kids in gymnastics at the Oliver Street. Waiting for the kind of gymnastics. There's a bunch of pods right there. Orange Nashville Horticultural takes care of that garden. And I've seen there's piles of where they just cut it all down to the ground and put the piles over there to compost. Seeds right there. Okay, kale. If you keep kale, it will sometimes flower in the same year or sometimes the second year. And the little yellow flowers and little pods, there's the seeds. Tomatoes, okay, this is a yucky one. So, tomatoes are all in the goo. So if you get this tomato from anywhere, farmer's market, grocery store, and it's this massive, big yellow tomato, and you're like, wow, I want to grow that next year. Take some seeds, put them on a paper towel, label it, you're rolling. If you want to do like 100 of them, if you want to put them in a seed library, if you want to keep them forever, then, can't see that one. So put all the goo in a glass with some water, put Saran wrap on top, keep it for like a week, try not to keep it for 6 months like me. And then you use your strainer, get all the goo off and all the mold off, and then spread them out. You gotta separate them out with a knife. This is just like wax paper or parchment, and label it and the year. And then after they're dry, then you can put them in a zippy. But if you just want a couple, just put them on a paper towel, it's fine. Morning Glory. These are a vine. They go along the hedge, along the fences. They have a little pod. You'll see afterwards, 6 seeds in a pod, different colors, different seeds. That's another dry one, that's easy. Hollyhocks. There's a flower, and then you'll have these pods after the flowers are gone. And they're in like you can see on that one, they're in a little ring. You break them apart. But I have found sometimes there's a hole in the back of the seeds, and the bug has gotten in and eaten the inside. So I do have some hollyhock seeds back there, and I put a ton in the package because I think some of them are not good. The hollyhock, you put them on the surface, and hopefully something grows. Sunflowers. I have trouble with sunflowers because if I need them too long, the chipmunks get them, I get them too early, and then sometimes they're not full. You want the seed to be full. Look at that, look how many seeds in one sunflower. There's lots of nice different varieties of sunflowers. Marigolds, this is one of the first ones that I was like, that's a seed. And this little porcupine quill is the seed. I was just like, that's so cool. Flowers die off, petals fall off, you have a little pod, and it's full of these porcupine quills. And those are marigolds, these are a little jar back there. I get them from Bailey's. They have them out front, and they leave them out there all winter. Nobody cares. I'm sure they don't. Radishes. Radishes are like 28 days. They're a good one for schools because they're so quick. They make these pods. Now, first of all, the pods are green. If you pick the pods when they're green, you can just eat them. Taste like radishes. Yeah. And so I saw someone else told me they pickle them. But once they get all dry like this, then you don't want to eat them. And like 3 or 4, it's a lot of work for radish seeds. Just 3 or 4 seeds in a pod. So it's a lot of work to get those seeds out. This one is called Obedient Plant. Got flowers like one by one all the way up. And then this is looking down the plant. You can see the seeds just sitting along the stem all the way down. Once you start looking, you'll see them. I don't know what this one's called. Fall sunflower maybe. But it has a lot of chaff and then a little bit of seeds in it. You just rub the head, and you'll get stuff you don't need and a couple of seeds you do need. And you can plant the whole thing. You don't have to separate them out. It's okay. Coneflower is the same. The majority of what you get is this, and the little white bits are the seeds. But it's very spiky. It's very hard to rub that. You get all this chaff, and then you get a couple of seeds in there. And you can see them, like if you look through, you see the little white spots. That's the seeds. Black-eyed Susan, same thing. Just rub it. Seeds will come out. And you can plant the whole seed head too. No seed. This is so sad. My cousin gave me this really cool cucumber, and I waited to see if it would, still keep developing seeds. Anyway, this is what it had. These little flat little things, and they're no good. Seeds from this cucumber are not mature enough to use. Some flowers that are highly hybridized may not have seeds. Flowers that are highly double may not have seeds because pollinators can't get in there, which is one of the reasons for native plants is that they're usually they've adapted with the bees or whatever native bees in our our area, so the bees can get in and pollinate them and get the nectar, which helps the bees. But the double, like really double ones, sometimes the pollinators can't get in there and there's no seeds. And in drought, the plants may not produce seeds, they just may not have enough energy. Okay, so seed planting, we need moisture, warmth, and light. And when you're storing them, dry, cold, and dark. So the better you store them, the longer they will last. How long do they last? Generally 5 years. If you Google it, they'll tell you 3 because they want you to buy more seeds. Most of them are 5. I planted 2016 peas last year. I got most of them. So their seeds are dormant. They're alive. They're hibernating, and they're using up a little bit of energy to be alive. So they need a burst of energy to sprout. And if they use up all their energy, then they won't sprout. So when you're choosing a seed, especially like pumpkin, you can see some of them are flat. Don't choose the flat ones. Choose the plump ones that they have enough in them to sprout. So if they run out of energy, they won't sprout. But it's sort of drops. Like if you look at the year is so important. If you look at the year, if it says 2022, that's as new as you're going to get because that's last year's harvest. If it says 2020, maybe 80% will germinate, maybe 70%. If you're getting down to 2019, maybe 50% or maybe 90%. Certain ones are much less. Onions, parsnip, carrots are only at 2-3 years. But beans and stuff, most of them are good for 5 years. But there's certain ones, like I don't carry parsnips very much because if someone doesn't take it that year, then they're probably no good. Some favorites. So this is a picture I got. These are just some that I like. This is indigo rose, the little cherry one, it's bigger than cherry. Pink oxheart, Cherokee purple. I don't really like that one, but I do have a lot of seeds of it. So then it's hard to tell when it's ripe. I don't know. And then it's just hard to, it's not, lemon yellow, mountain magic, orange lemon, sweet gold. There's lots of different varieties. I got a ton of different tomatoes at the back. Cucumber, I couldn't find my cucumber seeds, I'm sorry. They're cool. They're just little cucumbers. And you just eat the whole thing.
They're awesome.
Yeah, they're cool. I didn't find my seeds though. Last year I had no luck with them, so I need to try them again this year and get my seeds in the library. That one's indigo rose again, orange zima. So it's called yellow pork chop. It's pretty cool. And this one, Rumi Banjan, is from Afghanistan. That's another one of my favorites. It's a small yellow one. It's cool. So more information. My website is there. I've got events I post there. There's Teaching Video Seeds of Diversity. It's a company in Waterloo, and they protect they go through all the seed catalogs every year, and they look at what's missing. And then they will grow that seed and make sure that it doesn't go extinct. It's cool. And they sell them, they trade them, but they have teaching videos, which I got links to. There's websites with good information on them. There's most of those pictures that we saw are up there on the seed tips page. And there's inventory. It's last year's inventory because I haven't had time, but it's like 500 lines, and I don't have time to go through all that and decide. Because I'm bringing stuff to events, so do I put it on inventory or not? Because I'm bringing it, and I go today. So I have lots. So, and I can't package it all. I brought some stuff today. I went and bought stuff from, with money from Seed to Plate from William Dam, because they will sell like the packages for like 25 seeds are $4, and the ones with 1,000 seeds are $6. So that's why I go to William Dam, and then I reportion them. But it just takes a lot of time to make up my own labels and put them all out. But it's affordable, and that's why I'll buy carrots, I'll buy zucchini. I didn't mention zucchini. Zucchini crosses with everything. Do not give me your zucchini seeds, I don't want them. You get cucumbers, it crosses with everything. So buy your zucchini seeds, or things that I bought, it'll say William Dam on it. Oh, and with the dates. Mackenzie puts no dates on their envelopes. So I have no idea. Someone donates me some Mackenzie packages. I can go by the the price, if it's 99 cents, is probably pretty old. But there's no dates, so I have no idea. And so if you buy, any seeds you buy, write your own date on it, purchased this time, so that you know next year, 2 years from now, how old that is. Because it's really important as to whether they'll be viable or not. So yes, inventory, I've got an email. You can just email me what you would like. If you don't find it here, I have lots of stuff. It just takes me sometimes a little bit, a couple of days to get it together. Because I don't package everything, because what if I spend all this time packaging it and nobody wants it? So I tend to package as the orders come in. Okay, we can have lights back on, please. I think that's all we need for the video, Kristen. We can probably turn that.